to the Mixorcist.
EB, what's going on?
Hey, CW, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the Mixorcist, guys.
Welcome.
Hope you're having a good week. Yeah. So what about horror movies? What's going on for you? You been watching?
I have. I've been watching a whole bunch of them. Long list, actually, which I won't get into the whole list. But the one that comes to mind first is called Freaky, F-R-E-A-K-Y. It's a comedy film starring Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn.
Oh.
But it's also a horror movie.
I've heard about this one.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Without giving too much away, it takes a plot, a theme, kind of, if you will, a comedy thing that's been done quite a few times. But I don't believe in a horror movie before. And the combination of the two, plus some classic Vince Vaughn moments, I think we've got a winner here. I really enjoyed it. Very fun.
Nice.
Very fun.
Is it
film.
on Netflix? Is it on Netflix right now?
I think it was on Prime. Don't quote me on that.
Prime. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I'll check it out. I saw it somewhere. Definitely on a streaming service. For me, I didn't catch anything this week, but I did. You sent me something. You sent me this thing on The Shining, which I hate to keep harping on that movie, but I mean, best horror movie of all time. Yeah. And there was this discussion of, there's all of these inconsistencies in the filming, like all of a sudden the classic, every time you come in here, you interrupt me, you're distracting me, that whole thing, that whole scene, every time it pans back and forth between Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, there's some furniture missing, but it's always the same two pieces of furniture and it's in and out. So the author of this video says that that's a signal that you're entering kind of like Wendy's delusional state. So the thesis is all of The Shining is Wendy's delusion. It was her who was hurting Danny. It was not Jack that was actually the sick one. He was the sane one. And she's the one who went nuts. So, and at the end, they actually say that Jack was left frozen in the maze much earlier in the script. So he gives all this evidence, but it's made super creepy by the fact that it's voiced by this AI bot. So not only are you watching like the creepiest moments of The Shining, but you got this inhuman voice. It's fascinating. We'll post it in the links because it's worth watching. It's so good. I really enjoyed that.
What I love about this, the Wendy Theory it's called, is that it's got nothing to do with the Room 237 stuff, Room 237, number 42, none of that. And not even like the Calumet stuff. And, some of these theories, which clearly Kubrick did intend. This is purely how do you say this? Cinematographic. There we go. I got it.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Okay, I said it once. It's that type of analysis. And it depends only on the framing. And we're talking about stuff like light switches, like the light switch outside of the freezer disappearing from one scene to the next. That's not stuff that just gets moved around by the crew, right? It leads to the idea that this is more intentional. And there's a pattern to it, and it's fully explained, and we're going to link it below. And I'm going to watch it again with mine. But from what I've seen so far, it's like, hey, this is actually checking out.
Feasible.
Feasible theory and fascinating. Another angle that maybe you hadn't heard of about The Shining.
Agree. Well, hey, listen, speaking of haunted hotels, we got some new plugins this week. We got the new BX Limiter True Peak by Plugin Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
So you've had some time with it. I mean, I haven't even read the manual yet. It's just fresh today. So I've been playing with it. You've been playing with it. Do you want to walk us through what you've been trying and doing?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, those of you who already know maybe the BX Limiter, which has been out for quite some time, it's a great sounding limiter, but they always called it a bus limiter or a track limiter. And I think mainly because of the fact that it didn't really do true peak limiting, but this one does. I've got it here. You can see I've set it to green. You can change your own colors in this top corner here. You can set it to red. Super I believe cool. That's the default.
Yeah.
Yellow, whatever you like. I set it to green because, in the Mixorcist, I've always got the green over me. And I believe the default's red, so you'll have no problem with that. Now, once you do set it that way, you can click on the info link, the BrainWorks info tab, and there's a set current color choice as system default. So you can click that.
Yeah. So every time you open it.
Yeah. And then every time you open it, it'll be the color that you like, right?
And people buy plugins based on this, by the way. Let's be honest. This is why people say, that looks good, I'm buying it.
That's exactly it. So just moving right along the top, you got your on and off. This will get rid of the meter part, but leave the controls, I believe, is what happens here. Yes?
Yeah. Odd choice because I prefer the meters, but whatever.
Yeah. Undo and redo. A, B, C, D to store presets that you can compare back and forth. Copy and paste. This is the same stuff on the Plugin Alliance plugins. Reset the plugin input level.
Every time you come in here, you're breaking my concentration. You're distracting me.
Okay, guys, real quick. Let me walk you through the controls so you can get used to them. I've got Mixorcist Red up and rolling here. Let's grab some 2-track stereo stuff. All right, so we got some tunage ready to go. So here's the idea. Like any other compressor, you're going to have your gain. That's the drive into the threshold where it starts limiting. And the threshold itself, technically, is the ceiling control, although the ceiling is better described as your max output, like shall not exceed. So for example, if you know that you absolutely don't want this to ever go over -1 true peak, having this control set to -1 is what's going to do it for you. Boom, like so. And again, what I did there is I just double clicked on it to type in, which is super handy. One of the big limitations of BX Limiter version 1 is that you had to drag it. And if you wanted exactly -1.00, you could almost never get it. It was a slider and it was very difficult to deal with. So I appreciate this feature. I like also their saturator is here, the XL saturator, which is kind of an older generation on or off saturation control, but it's nice. You've also got your release control. You have got your an interesting little EQ section. Now it doesn't really do a lot of push or boost in bottom end or top end. All it does is a high pass filter, low pass filter, and then there's like a foundation control, which is like your oomph frequency. Then we've got stuff like channel link left to right. We've got the limiter mix percentage, so you can actually have this limiter only operate at 75% full, leaving some of the original signal through, which would probably be more useful on an instrument, say, than on a mix where you absolutely want brick wall limiting. And then there is the output dim, which is if you just need to take everything you've done now and pull it down 0.5 dB somehow, you've got an output dimmer you can use for that. So there's a link button here that allows you to link the operation of the gain and the ceiling controls, right? Meaning a boost in the input creates an according reduction in the ceiling. Benefit of that is once you've got your ratio right, like you know how much you want to push into it and how much you want it to pull down towards the ceiling. If you're wrong about the particulars, you need to make a little adjustment, but you don't want to mess up that ratio. You can increase one. I mean, the main benefit is it's essentially output matched. So gain matched when you're listening on off. So you're not getting distracted or dazzled by some loudness, making it sound artificially better. So those are the big right side controls. I'm going to have, what am I missing anything here? I think we've gone through most of them. Having not read the manual yet, fair to say this is my favorite plugin. BX Limiter, I've used on every track that I use. I think it's excellent because it's transparent. It's very, very fast. And for the most part, doesn't really miss a lot of inner peak samples. I've had very few problems with overs popping into true peak reds anywhere. So it's really reliable. It doesn't make a sound, so I kind of dig it. Let's have a listen to how this works. I'm just going to hit reset. And I'm going to remove the XL. And let's take all of these frequency funkiness things out, but just have a listen. All right, so here's my mix. I'm going to set it for not competitive, but why don't we go for streaming? So -14 LUFS. Good, good, good. So not in the red at this point. This can use some gain. This can take it. So I'll do my little conservative ceiling of -1. Still pretty good. Now it's starting to do some gain reduction of a dB or 2 consistently. And that's with 7 gain a boost, which maybe I don't want to go that far because it's pulling too much compression off of there. That's not too horrible. Still decent dynamic range. However, notice I am in the red, so I'm over target for LUFS. So that's maybe a little more comfortable, possibly too comfortable. Notice there's really not a ton. You don't hear compressor action here. Let's go crazy and let's throw down a ton of gain. Nobody's gonna love that. Not even a mother could love that one, right?
I think you hurt my head real bad.
So let's zero these back out. And let's try listening again. Modest amount of gain here. Too far. So essentially we're mixing with our eyeballs because, I mean, that's a reasonably good sound. I don't really hear the compressor action doing anything to damage the track. It's also unlike things like, the L series maximizers. It's not doing funkified things to the frequencies that I basically just have to live with. But having said that, let's get into these EQ controls for a minute. Let's try the saturator first. Have a listen to this saturator go. Let's dime it. Without. With. That's what you want to hear a saturator do, is bring it forward, give it a little bit of warmth, a little bit more presence, and a touch of compression that's a little less definable than what the limiter's doing. So I kind of dig it. I'm not sure I would use that as a mastering feature, but on a track, it could make all the difference for, a snare or a set of overheads or even a vocal. Let's check out this EQ though. I want to hear what this does. You ready for this? Here we go. Let's kick in the high pass filter. It does what it promises. It's not as abrupt as a real, I feel like this is a slower curve. It's probably not like a 24 dB per octave kind of curve. It's a little more gentle maybe. Let's kick in the high pass filter. This goes from about 12 or 15, I can't read that, 15 to about 40. Don't really hear it doing a ton there, but let's check this one out. It's almost like a little warmth thing there. I mean, I'd have to dig and see, but I feel like it's in the somewhere to 250 to 600 or 500 somewhere. There's like a little warmth, just a little bump in the lower end curve there. Can't really hear if it's touching the top end too intensely at this point. I'm not a big fan of these. This looks like it was pulled from BX Master Desk potentially. It's okay. I wouldn't want to make mastering equalizer decisions using my limiter, so I'm not sure I would ever use these particular controls. But I can definitely see using something like the limiter mix to maybe pull back on it a little bit. It's a great facile tool. I really feel like the most important part is everything up here. It's got a nice fast release on it too. So the range should be noted goes anywhere from nearly 0 to a second. And like BX Classic, it allows you to tweak it a little bit, but the default seems to work really well for not touching or damaging the sound. And of course, you'd want to avoid any sort of pumping or anything like that. So I'm excited about using this because I think I can remove the meter, because right now on all my tracks, everything I do, BX limiter, and then my metering stuff is after. I could probably get rid of those, combine those two plugins into one, because the metering here is so much better. Mm-hmm. Only complaint, I think it's weird that you can't scale the GUI, and when you have it like this, you see the controls rather than the meters. I'd rather see the meters. If you're going to make this smaller, show me the meters.
Yeah, or to have rather the option where you could do meters only, or controls only, or both, like a three-way toggle.
Yeah, that'd be a cool feature.
Yeah, that might be a good add-on. Again, though, they do suggest that you can use this with plugins. Like I love SPL Hawkeye, for instance. That's got some good true peak metering. It tells you everything. It tells you more than you need to know. Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah.
There's also the adapter stuff, like Streamliner or, What was
even
it?
AB, is a good
AB.
modern tool as well. What's it called? AB Metric?
AB Metric, that's the one.
Or something?
Yeah, so using this in tandem with that. So I'm just going to hit play. We're going to take a look at what the meters are doing, how the meters are behaving, and just sort of calibrate ourselves to what's going on here. Right here, you'll see your input level with your RMS. You'll see true peak meter indicator over here. Down here, we could switch from short-term reaction time or momentary reaction time, which is, of course, faster. Over here, we could switch from different lifts, target levels. Right, the default is competitive, which is minus 10 lifts, which is pretty loud, competitively loud master. You can go loud or even louder, which will get you all the way up to minus 6 lifts, which is ridiculously loud. Streaming would be, say, minus 14. EU, US, or Japan broadcast, that's the most dynamic at minus 24 lifts.
Right. So all of these are not changing. It's important to note none of these are changing the process. They're just changing the visualization so that you can see when you're getting into your hot zone and when you need to start, like you're actually going over. Because remember, if you're streaming, for example, you don't want algorithms doing the limiting for you. So this is going to help you make good choices before you send the thing out.
Right, exactly, yeah. So knowing your target loudness is always a really important thing.
Yeah.
But this is a great way to have in the plugin itself just a quick visual reference. So you'll see over here will be your gain reduction. So as I turn it up, you'll see more and more gain reduction. Yet the dynamic range here should get smaller. And over here is the output lifts loudness. So this should get bigger. And I believe once I get over my target, which is now set to minus 17, it should start to go into the green. So let's just start this up and start giving it some level. You're seeing the levels go up. Now you're starting to see some gain reduction here. I guess this is probably a bad example because the source didn't actually have minus 17 lifts to begin with. So that's really what would be better served. It's because it's already pretty loud. If I'd set it to, say, competitive.
Oh, that's not good. Not good.
The remainder of the left section along the bottom here, we've got a swap left-right. That's self-evident. Switches left to right sides. Or you could solo either only the left or only the right. Now with both of these, you can solo in place, meaning that, see, as you saw there, when I soloed the left, it turned it mono and put it through both speakers. Same with the right. But if you solo in place, it won't do that. It will show only the right and the right and the left and the left when solo in place is activated. Take solo in place off, and then it's going to you'll hear only the left, but it'll duplicate it and put it in mono. So in both speakers. And you can go listen to the mids only. Or the side only.
Very nice.
It's very handy to have that, to be able to just zone in on certain aspects of your mix to hear what's going on.
I was going to mention one thing. It's worth mentioning here just at the end that for now, the retail on this is $249, but of course, we know the Plugin Alliance now does a subscription-based offering, which you may want to check out. But also, if you already have BX Limiter, the cost of this came down to, I want to say $129 US. And if you have your loyalty vouchers, those go on top. So I think I was able to clear this for, $100. The intro price right now is $149. That's with no discounts whatsoever. So even at that price point, this is a really great investment.
Yeah, that's great. Those controls are wild. I love being able to change the colors.
Yeah, that's cool.
And while not as extensive as the adapter stuff or the SPL Hawkeye, this gives you enough that you might not, if you're just looking for loudness. And there's also, I see like a phase correlation and a balance there. This gives you a lot of information right here in the plugin, more than most other limiter plugins.
So that's what I'm saying is the plus on this. The downside is the size and the inflexibility of the GUI limiting the size of it. But on the plus side, though, the metering is so good, and the ability to like solo, rather your left, right, and do mid side with it, I think that's a big boost. Could have lived without the EQ.
Yeah, I mean, I think the EQ is more so for tracks. They did suggest running kick drum with the foundation and turning the foundation on to beef up a bass drum with the foundation there, which when I played with it, I could definitely hear those changes in the low end. So that might be a very advantageous thing to do there.
So yeah, I mean, I already know I'm getting this just because BX Limiter was my everyday. Like that was, I've tested every limiter plugin, I think, and still my favorite. Don't know why, it just works for me. So I know this will always be part of my arsenal going forward too.
I was loving it. I was able to easily get competitive results. I really gave it the stress test, and I don't want to. I think sometimes it's unfair to directly compare this brand to this brand or that brand, but let's just say I tried maybe 7 or 8 of them, and I tried really pushing it, and this was easily in the top tier of being able to do that much gain reduction before it started to sound really bad and breaking up and getting too much flutter and all of that. This thing will take it. It was meant to go loud, so.
Oh yeah, must get loud.
Yeah.
All right, is that it for this one?
Oh yeah. Happy with this fantastic new release from Plugin Alliance.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Awesome.
Keep them coming. Been waiting for this one for a while, so I'm pretty stoked about it. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for your comments and all the love.
Did you see how the logo disappeared, dude? When you switched when you were switching the buttons, let's like one shot the logo's there, the next shot the logo isn't. One shot, the gain's at like +2, and the next shot it's like -1.5. And like, so which part is that? Like, was that the hallucination mode or was it not?
Back to the Shining. I see what you did there. All right, man. We'll see you next time, EB.
All right, man. See y'all later. Thanks for watching.